Welcome back to War Thunder. Welcome to Tank RB 6.7 Germans. Oh my. Welcome aboard the Coelian, one of the most overall effective AAAs and purely AAAs that there is at mid to high tier. Today's gameplay is absolutely boring. It's practically an ace, but in theory you could argue, you died so often. What I'm doing here is purely taking the support role. I have ranted enough. I've just stated the problems, that there are in the game. Allied CAS, tanks being really great on the Allied side, and the Axis side. So, for all intents and purposes, purely the Germans. Well, they never got a, renovation of the battle rating, so to speak, which they actually would need. And I think this gameplay sums it up overall perfectly. This is not my first attempt, but simply I have chosen the Coelian because it is at 6.7. It is a really all-around great AAA. It's probably the most heavily armored AAA that there is in the game, if I'm not mistaken. That doesn't mean you can take shots for like crazy. However, you won't die to, machine gun fire. Not every cannon round sent at you from tanks or planes alike will kill you. You have a lot, and I mean a lot of ammunition. You have barely any reload time, especially with an expert crew. And your gun barrels will not overheat, which is the advantage compared to the Kugelblitz. Also, you can switch ammunition like that between the Minengeschosse, which are totally worth researching, and the APHE armor piercing belt. I think this is one of the last remaining pure APHE belts in the game. The strongest goes to the ZSU 57-2, which has, I guess, double the penetration, but details. Now, the gameplay that you see in the background is on purpose. It's boring. You can't participate in the battle. You have to constantly observe both the sky and the ground, for both giving your team information and also, scaring away aircraft. It's not just the part of scaring them away or to shoot them down, but also draw attention from the heavy tanks towards you. The King Tiger by itself in a long-range engagement, when he gets shot from one direction, can handle itself, although against an IS-6, it's always... I've shown enough IS-6 gameplay, I guess, to prove that this tank is a true bully in both arcade and realistic. In realistic, you can, admire my tank review. Here, I think it's not about just one tank, it's about all the total things that there are to be known about AAA. When to shoot, where to position, what to do, what if, what when the enemy does this, and so on and so on. So, our first customer has arrived, and you'd be surprised. So first of all, I draw his attention away from the straight flight. He now knows that he gets shot at, he does evasive actions. I try to put him down. Yeah. See, that's the problem with the Coelian. The rate of fire is not too bad, but it's sometimes not good enough. And at this moment I was really angry. The first attack and it didn't work. But then the backup, the magic, the whirlwind. Quadruple 20 millimeters, high rate of fire, and just screw you. Just screw you. One hit. I'm using the wrong belt here, but it doesn't matter. The rate of fire, the shell density, the pure frightening factor for aircraft, the possibility to just be the most dangerous opponents for aircraft effectively. Now, even though I guess this guy got away the first time, I took him down. So that's my first kill. The difficulty when driving the Wirbelwind is to really survive. The Wirbelwind is a great AAA, however it's open topped. That makes it vulnerable, of course, for rockets, no doubt about that, but also any kind of machine gun fire, cannon fire, bombs, everything. The amount of damage it takes is huge, however you also can deal a lot of damage. One thing that I've noticed is that every AAA in the game features tracer rounds. What about a stealth belt? What about stealth belts? So aircraft don't know that they get shot at in the first place. You can just throw a large amount of metal and lead into the air and just potentially take them down. Now I think the Dojo 217K bombed the Yak 3 out of the sky. Good job, mate, good job. It's always very nice if that happens. Now we come to a big problem. There are simply too many aircraft in the air for the Allies. You track one down, you probably take him down, but by the time you reload and you look at them, well, you take one down, but the next one is already incoming. They know exactly where you are. Use buildings, use rocks, try to get into a dip. Yes, I could have pulled the trigger there, I was too slow, but eventually I get a few hits in and take him down, third kill. Reload, come on baby, come on. I think I scared him away, got maybe a hit in, I'm not quite sure, but it doesn't matter. I am a backbone for my team. I hear engine sounds everywhere and I hit the King Cobra and his bombs miss by quite a bit. Thankfully, I think they were just 500-pound bombs or 250-kilogram bombs, and I tried to drag him. I threw a bit of lead in the air. I realized my belt is nearly empty. I tried to reload in time, and that was bad shooting, but eventually I take him down, and I get shot by 50 cals. I'm down to 2 crew members, and before my gunner can relocate and before I can reload, another aircraft is there to eventually finally put me down. That's a Hurricane Mark 2B. If I'm not mistaken, it's battle rating 2.0 and it has 3 sets of rockets that destroy everything. Yeah, and that's one of the few occasions where I use a backup, and I use a Coelian. At this point in time, I think the Coelian, or the Wirbelwind, it's a tough call. It always depends on the situation. But I don't want to receive any machine gun fire rounds that cripple me. And the Coelian certainly can deal with machine gun fire. It's based on a Panther, and even the turret is not that extremely weak. Now, this is not a main battle tank or any kind of Panther variant that's worth talking about in terms of anti-tank role. I mean, there are situations where you can punish British and American tanks, but against Russians, your penetration is just not good enough against the overwhelming majorities. Except if you meet another AAA, and then they are in danger, a huge amount of danger. So again, you can see not a lot of action happened here, but you realize one thing, that I shot down quite some aircraft and another guy of mine as well, and some King Tigers survived, and they will decide the outcome of the battle because they are at long range, they are in, let's say, decent positions, and they have killed some enemies, so they might be able to respawn if they eventually get put down. At this point, I think to take a AAA from the beginning is a tough choice, because you have to count on the following thing. You have to count on the thing that the enemies have enough spawn points to get into an aircraft after they got killed, and then you have to shoot them down so that you are of any use. So you actually are counting on the worst case scenario already when you use it. Now that's an I-185, and that's just a fighter. However, it can deal with lightly armored German vehicles such as the Wirbelwind. Although, you know, do you really want to challenge a Wirbelwind in a head-on engagement? It's always a tough choice for an aircraft when it's just being equipped with guns and not rockets. I think rockets are still way too strong, and they just mostly ignore armor, which is really the annoying part about it. And that they do not just deal damage, but one shot in 90% of the cases everything that they hit with a proper hit. And even nearby missiles can detonate below the tank and still kill it. Now there is a Do 217 M1, and he is doing a great job. First he took out the M26 and then he circles around. And I'm looking near the Do 217 because I'm quite sure if there is any kind of hidden fighter floating around, he is very much attracted by the Do 217. So I'm monitoring the sky. By the way, zooming in helps a great deal, not just in aiming but also observing the sky. So now I congratulate him in the chat, and I tell him, Do, we will cover you, just fly over B if you are in trouble. There are two Coelians there. I hear some battle noise over to my left, but there is not too much that I can do. The Do drops another bomb, but sadly doesn't hit anything. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure. If that king target to our left dies, we are in trouble. We are in big trouble. If there is any fast tank or a tank with enough armor to withstand double 37mm APHE belt rounds, then you know it's not that good. So there is the I-185. I scared him away. I know that I will give my position away, but I have to do something, you know. I have to keep the Do 217M alive. By the way, he just killed another Centurion Mark III, which is always nice. Bloody dangerous British tanks. And again, it's just observing the sky. You need to have a lot of patience. You need to really feel the role of, you know, keeping the air clean, supporting your aircraft, supporting your tanks. Be as close as possible to the front line, because that's the easiest way to shoot down aircraft. And you have to practice. You have to practice a lot. It doesn't help if you give up after 1 or 2 games of, you know, not working as intended. And that is something that I think the German tanks at 6.7 also struggle with. It's not just the tanks themselves, the enemy lineups, power creep, yada yada yada. I've talked enough about it. It's also that they do not really believe in themselves. So here I constantly track the I-185. It's not just scaring the enemy plane away. It's not just, you know, threatening to shoot down. It's also showing your team where the threat is. Playing a AAA, again, is a very bloody hard task. You be as close to the front line as possible to have the easiest shots at the enemy aircraft, but you must not expose yourself to enemy tank fire, and you also have to position yourself in a way that you have a good area where you can shoot at aircraft, but they have also a difficult time of hitting you with rockets. Again, it's the most challenging thing that there is. I think the easiest task that you can have in RRB is in the role of Allied CAS. It's so simple. It's so simple. I played it myself. It's just, I have no respect if somebody gets kills in an aircraft. be it 15, 20, 25 kills. I don't care. You used an aircraft against tanks. But using tanks against aircrafts is another matter. It's always nice if you shoot them down with your machine guns or a very lucky tank shell. And AAA is not always satisfying. Very often you think to yourself, oh, how far must I be off? But then there are moments like that. Oh, that is so satisfying. That is so satisfying. I was so pleased with myself. And yeah, lol, I couldn't resist. I did not think that I hit him with that burst. And you knew how long it took that shells to arrive and to actually one-shot him, because that's not guaranteed with the current state of high explosive shells. But you know, again, those are 37mm mine shells. If not them, then what else? If you really need bigger shells and better shells in an anti-aircraft roles than 37mm mine shells, then I don't know. But yeah. So at this point we actually defeated the enemy team, and every victory that I recently got with Germans at 6.7 or 7.0 was always close. It was a bitter fought battle to the last, to the end, with all the uphill struggle at your side. But I guess let's have at a big problem, the income. For 5 kills, securing the air, doing so much support, I just got 31,000 silver lines and 2,424 research points for killing aircraft with a tank in tank RB, with a victory and a premium account. What the hell is wrong with you, War Thunder? What the hell is wrong with you? At least the AAA vehicles are cheap, with around about under 2,000 silver lines for the Wirbelwind, Coelian and even the Kugelblitz. So let me know your dirty tips and tricks in the anti-allied casserole, and just state your opinions in the comment section. I'm really interested in reading them. This might be the first step towards, again, the renaissance of 6.7 for Germany. The King Tiger is a tank that I want to see in a good shape, in a good role, and when you keep aircraft away from it at long range, it is quite a beast. So, that's it for me today, and as usual, please give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies and on the battlefields of War Thunder.